Now it's time for our second guest, and who is tonight a first aid expert. She's been on these famous red sofas before, and now she's back to teach us some very important first aid techniques.
Yes, learning first aid can help in many aspects of your life, and it could be a key skill that you can contribute to your employment, and it may just help to save a life.
Yes.
So here to tell us more, please welcome Emma Hammett.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me
Welcome
on here again.
back.
Yes, welcome back, because you have
We
been
had
here
a
before.
last time, it was brilliant.
We've actually got a clip of you
you?
from 3 years ago when you were here and
last.
you got Bassett and Atif.
Let's
have a
remind
look.
us. Yes, let's remind ourselves.
If you had collapsed and you're unconscious and not breathing, hopefully when you had phoned the ambulance, you would have got a defibrillator on the way as well if you were in a public place.
Okay.
You check for danger, no danger. You check for response. Speak before you touch.
Okay.
Saves a lot of awkwardness and embarrassment, okay?
Yeah.
Speak before you touch. Hello, I'm Emma, I'm a first aid. Are you okay? So you're unconscious and not breathing. So what I would need to do, because you're an adult, I would need to be pushing hard and fast on the centre of the chest.
Right.
So right in the middle, you go from here to here, and you go in the middle there. And the heel of your hand, centre of the chest, you want to be up over the top, and you want to push down hard and fast.
Okay.
You were singing the song earlier.
I was saying Staying Alive.
Staying Alive, yeah.
By the Bee Gees.
Does that bring back lots of memories?
We had such fun. It was great.
The funny thing is, I was going to say, learning first aid is actually real fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is hard to put the element of seriousness on it until you actually need it, and then it's like, shock. But I did. Like what we said in the. Like when we were introducing you, it's very true. First aid on your CV counts for a lot in this day and age. It really does.
But first aid as a parent as well, so that you know what to do and sort of being one step ahead. And you were saying that you'll...
Yeah, when we were just talking before, I was mentioning my brother on Sunday. My nephew, literally, I left the house 20 minutes later, got a call from my brother saying that my nephew had choked. And he did, like, the whole, the bits that we know, that you hold the stomach, but he ended up having to...
Bash it out.
Absolutely.
Bash it
When it comes to something like that, I guess a lot of people think they know what to do because they've seen it on TV and all those kinds of things. But why is first aid so important to actually go to a class and learn the real techniques of how to do things?
Because it saves you a lot of trips to hospital. It means that you can quite often... So, I mean, there's 2 million children taken to A&E every single year in the UK.
Yeah.
And 760,000 of those end up being admitted. So, I mean, that's 1,500 a week.
Wow.
It's a lot. And there's an awful lot that we can do at home that if you do proper, sensible first aid, things like if someone's burnt, straight under cool running water. If you don't do that, you keep cooking because we're meat.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so if you can do prompt and appropriate first aid, you can actually reduce the effects of the injury, and you can quite often mean that the person doesn't actually need to go to hospital at all. So you can save yourself trips to A&E. Obviously, you need to go to A&E if it is that serious, but you can, there's an awful lot you can do at home. Understanding when a head injury is serious and when it's not, and just having that knowledge, being able to treat a child that's choking at home and knowing what to do can mean everybody's a bit calmer and everyone can carry on with their lives. Whereas if you don't, you're suddenly in a real emergency situation.
Yeah, it's funny because my brother said like 10 minutes later, it was like nothing happened.
Absolutely.
And he's like, I was sitting there in shock, and he goes, and like my nephew was just like, oh, Daddy, can I do this? And it's like it was just a shock.
That's what first aid should be.
Yes.
That's it's basic first aid. It's common sense. It's using stuff you've got around you. You don't need to be a paramedic, but having that knowledge will save an awful lot of hassle, and it'll mean that you can treat them yourself.
Now, we do have some lovely guests joining you today. We've got two dummies here, and you are going to be showing
Not very nice
us
way
a
to
little
speak
bit.
to us, is it?
You're going to be showing us
I
how...
bet they have names. I bet you anyway they have
I
names.
have
Go on then.
loads of them.
What are their names today?
Well, actually, technically, they're all called Little Anne, which is very sad. But
Little Anne?
Little Anne.
Okay.
That's
The
the
maker.
classic. That's the maker, and
Okay.
they tend to just be called Annie.
Okay.
On the back of that, I have so many of these that if I had them all named individually,
okay.
You'd have a whole
So
school.
I have 23 trainers, so we all so we have a lot of mannequins and around.
So moving on to little
Okay.
Annie.
What are you going
Yes.
to teach us today? Tips and tricks.
Okay, absolutely. So choking is so common. And as we were talking about, and it is frightening. And if you know what to do, you can save an awful lot of aggro. So if you see that, first of all, proper choking is quiet. So when you're weaning, so with your little one, you've got a niece as well, haven't you? So, when you've got the little ones, weaning, when they're getting used to new foods, it's noisy.
Yeah.
They get used and they make that horrible noise in the back of their throat to clear it out, and that is healthy, and that's good, and that prevents you choking. Choking itself is silent because it means that the airway is blocked. So if they are coughing, or if you can see that they are struggling and you can encourage them to cough, then encourage them to cough first. If they're not coughing, remind them to cough. And if not, have a quick look and see if there is anything obvious. If there is anything obvious, you just remove with your finger and thumb. Don't poke your fingers down or probe around or whatever, because you'll push it down, you make it worse. Then what you would be doing is leaning them forward or perhaps across your lap, depending how old they are, and do hard, firm back blows. So not old Mrs. Doubtfire coming in at this point where everyone sees, not straight into the Heimlich manoeuvre. First of all, firm back blows. So hit and check. It's not, are you all right? Because that's not going to shift it.
Yeah.
It's hit and check. Hit and check to see if it's out. So up to 5 times of those. If it hasn't come out, I'd get someone to phone an ambulance at that point. Your second line treatment for a child, baby will cover in a second, is the old Heimlich manoeuvre. So you make a fist like that between the under the rib cage and the tummy. So you make a fist like that. You can do it to yourselves if you want. And you put it in like that. And then with the other hand, you pull in and up like a J-shaped motion. It should make you feel a little bit sick. So lean forward, and that's what you're doing.
I'm not feeling sick right now, but let's have a look.
Do you know that we are live on TV?
So straight in and up like that, and it should go at that point. So up to 5 of those. You've obviously got an ambulance coming on the way, and then back to 5 of these, and you would keep going. So 5, 5, 5, 5. If it doesn't come out, what's going to happen?
They're going to
Stop
stop breathing.
Yeah.
They're going to
They're
stop
gonna go
breathing.
blue.
They're going to go unconscious.
Yeah.
They're like to stop breathing. When you are unconscious, your muscles relax. So if your muscles relax, whatever's holding it could be releasing it a little bit. So don't panic. This is the time where if they are unconscious and not breathing, we'd be doing this on the floor, but you would be doing the breaths and the compressions.
Okay.
Like we did last time. So for a child, you would do 5 breaths first. You need to open the airway and hold the nose, and you breathe into them, and then you would be doing the chest compressions. And obviously the ambulance is coming, and that gives them the best chance. And at any point when you're pushing on the chest, you could still dislodge it.
Wow.
So keep going. Shall I do the baby very quickly? Have we got time?
Let's go to a break, and then we'll
Okay.
do the baby after.
Coming back to Emma, we've done our young child. Let's get the know-how in on babies. What would we do
If your baby
was
let's not
choking.
pick the baby up by the head. Okay, so if your baby is choking, so if they are in their high chair and they're choking, I know we've got lots of dads on the sofa here as well. What you would do first is again see if they are making any form of choking noises or something. If they look like they may be able to sort it out themselves, then a little bit of help with gravity great. You have got time to get them safely out of the high chair. Support them like this. Check to see if there is anything obvious, again, that you'd move with your finger and thumb. Support them with your finger and thumb on their bottom jaw and the airway open. So for a baby, the airway open is horizontal. And then you would put them down your leg, supporting them on your arm or over your arm like that, and you would hit them hard because you've got to get the obstruction out. So this is a baby that is completely silent because their airway is blocked. So you would hit and check, hit and check. So you do that 5 times or up to 5 times to see if the obstruction comes out, and you get an ambulance on the way. And if it doesn't come out there, your second line for a baby is a chest thrust. So not the abdominal thrust we did for an older child, a child over the age of 1, but chest thrust, so 2 fingers between the nipples, straight through there, and you push upwards like that. Ooh. So upward thrust, and that would get it out.
So with babies, because of the force is quite hard that you're using, there is potentially a risk of broken ribs.
Not with a baby.
Oh, no?
Not with a baby. Babies are very...
You're like really hitting that child who's only a dummy, and I'm like...
You're doing it in the right place.
It's supported. They are completely supported. If you do what you were suggesting earlier, which is dangle them upside down and give them a whack...
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Then what you would be doing then is everything would be going backwards and forwards. If you're supporting them properly, like that, then hitting them between the shoulder blades, even if you hit them firmly, you're not going to do any harm. You're not going to bend them or damage them in any way. And you have to get the obstruction out, because if you don't, they're going to die. So if it's blocking their airway to such an extent that there is no sound coming out at all and they're not crying, then you need to work quickly and swiftly. But no, you're not going to break ribs.
Okay.
No, in babies or children or adults, you're not going to break ribs.
If somebody, I was going to say, if somebody wanted to learn more about, of course, not dangling them by the legs.
Please don't dangle
You've
them by
got
the
a
legs.
book out.
We have.
Tell us a little bit about the book. I'm just see if I can grab the book here.
Okay, so the book is designed to be one step ahead and to prevent accidents. So it's burns, falls and emergency calls. You can get a free copy from our website on firstaidforlife.org.uk, or you can get it from Amazon. And on Child Safety Week, we're going to have a special offer as well, where it's just 99p too. So at the moment, when I said free copy, it's free copy, but you pay postage.
Okay.
So we're just...
I mean, you're saving lives, aren't you?
Yeah.
Through...
What that does is it takes you through child development. So it takes you through as your child's going from birth right through to leaving home, so all the way through the teenage years and everything as well. And it takes you through the different flashpoints for accidents, so you're one step ahead.
Yeah.
And then it also gives you proper first aid advice for all those different injuries and things that we've highlighted for you to prevent. And it's linked in as well, and it's supported by the Child Accident Prevention Trust and the Good Toy Guide.
Amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for showing us those demonstrations.
Living the life.